Well, from the conversation that we had a while ago with the eThekwini Municipality Taxi Council, we understand that the meeting is currently ongoing where relevant stakeholders, that's including the Department of Transport, is trying to find or are trying to find a resolution to the ongoing non-operations of the taxi or the non-operations of taxis rather. Once again, we say non-operations, Michelle, as they are stating that they are not calling it a strike, nor are they calling it a stay away. However, they want commuters to know that local taxis in eThekwini are currently not operating. At this very moment, however, we are at the Metro Police Pound, where those taxis that were impounded just last week in the area of Claremont were brought to. Now, from the various conversations that we've had with a number of associations, it seems as if there's a number of issues, Michelle. However, we know, of course, that there's long-standing issues when you're looking at perhaps taxi drivers and taxi owners, also involving the Department of Transport and also e-hailing operators. Just last week, the conversation that we had with Claremont and KwaDabega Taxi Association, they stated that one of the issues that they are faced with is that e-hailing operators in the area wear different hats throughout the day, where you find that in the morning they operate as scholar transport, later on during the day they collect staff, and later on in the evening they operate as Uber drivers. Now, the Department of Transport stating that they are aware of those e-hailing operators that are operating illegally. However, just this morning, Santaco coming in and stating that once again there's a number of issues, but perhaps when you're looking at the non-operation of these taxis, rather, the two issues that they are faced with is the impounding of these very taxis that you can see in front of you coming from Claremont, and also the operating licenses of these very taxis. We're told that they were impounded after the drivers were found not to have operating licenses in their possession. However, during that conversation that Santaco had this morning with Newzroom Afrika, stating a number of reasons for not having those particular operating licenses, stating that in some instances you find that drivers won't have them in their possession because they fear that they might get lost. We also know that those cars in some instances do pass through quite a number of hands with being cleaned and being washed. So with fears of being lost, they then keep those operating licenses in their homes. So unfortunately, on that particular day, these particular vehicles were found without any operating licenses. So at this very moment then, we know that there's a discussion that is currently happening with those relevant stakeholders in order to find a resolution for the thousands of commuters that have been left stranded. Now, we had a conversation with a number of them just this morning in various areas with my colleagues, where a lot of them stating that they were quite surprised, they were unaware that this particular strike was actually, or non-operation of taxis was actually going to take place today. But also, Michelle, lastly, the implications are quite far wide. You're not just looking at commuters that are impacted, but you're also looking at, for instance, we were at a clinic where a number of people were told to go home, seeing that there's a number of staff that were not able to show up at the clinic due to the fact that there were no taxis coming from those various areas. You're looking at professional nurses, you're looking at clerks, you're looking at general workers in that particular clinic. Also, a number of facilities around those taxi ranks also not working due to those different individuals not making their way to work. One commuter stating that he tried to use the bathroom at some point and found that it was actually locked, and he was told that the reason why it's locked is because cleaners have not been able to make their way to work. And also a couple of restaurants, we also tried buying food from them. They also stated that they are not operating at this particular moment, as a number of staff were unfortunately not able to make their way to work this morning. So the implications are far wide, which is why then there's a number of individuals that are waiting to hear what is going to come from that meeting that is going to take place, that is currently taking place today.
All right, Silethiwe Ndlovu, you'll keep us up to date on the outcomes whenever they happen. Thanks for that update.